Imagine this. You are standing in front of a shelf with 24 kinds of jam. Strawberry, raspberry, blueberry, with fruit chunks, sugar-free. Sounds like a dream for anyone with a sweet tooth, right? But at this exact moment, your brain is under real stress. It turns out that the more options you see, the higher the chance that you will walk away with nothing at all, or you will buy something and regret it the entire way home. This is a trap built into our brain. Almost all of us fall into it, almost every single day. And right now, I am going to show you what is actually happening inside your head at that moment, and what you can do to stop falling into this trap over and over again. So, the year is 2000, a supermarket in California. Psychologist Sheena Iyengar from Columbia University runs an experiment that completely changes how we understand decision-making. She sets up 2 jam tasting booths. One has 6 flavors, the other has 24. Logically, you would think that more choice means more sales, but the result was the exact opposite. About 60% of shoppers stopped at the booth with 24 jams, but only 3% of them actually bought anything. Meanwhile, fewer people stopped at the booth with 6 options, only about 40%, but 30% of them made a purchase. That's 10 times more. And that is not even the most interesting part. The people who did buy jam from the larger selection later rated their purchase as less satisfying. They kept doubting themselves and asking, what if I chose the wrong one? So why does this happen? Why do more options make us less happy? To understand that, we need to look inside the brain. Your brain is an incredible machine, but it has one serious flaw. It hates wasting energy. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making, consumes a massive amount of glucose. It is one of the most energy-expensive things your brain ever does. Now, picture yourself standing in front of those 24 jars of jam. What happens next? Your prefrontal cortex starts to overload. It tries to process every option. It compares prices, checks ingredients, remembers reviews, imagines the taste. Once the number of options goes beyond roughly 7 to 9 items, activity in the prefrontal cortex spikes, and then it drops. This is called cognitive overload. Your brain literally shuts down. It says, you know what? This is too complicated. Let's just not choose anything at all. But there is another player in this drama, dopamine. This neurotransmitter is responsible for anticipation and reward. When you see a lot of options, your brain releases dopamine. Wow, so many possibilities. The perfect choice must be here. You feel excited. The problem is that dopamine is triggered not by getting the reward, but by expecting it. Dopamine peaks before the choice, not after. And the more options you have, the higher your expectations become. But then you make a choice. You pick, let's say, strawberry jam with fruit chunks. And what happens next? Your dopamine level drops sharply because now your brain automatically starts thinking about all the other options you did not choose. Your brain initiates a process psychologists call counterfactual thinking. You start imagining alternative realities. What if I had picked raspberry? What if blueberry was actually better? The more options you had, the more alternatives your brain creates, and the stronger the feeling of missed opportunity becomes. Barry Schwartz, a psychologist from Swarthmore College, divided people into 2 categories: maximizers and satisficers. Satisficers are people who look for a good enough option. They review a few choices, pick one that meets their criteria, and move on. Maximizers, on the other hand, are people who search for the best possible option. They explore every alternative, read all the reviews, compare every detail. But maximizers are more likely to struggle with depression. They experience more regret and feel less satisfied with their decisions. Objectively, they often make better choices, but subjectively, they feel worse. Why does this happen? Because their brain cannot stop. Even after the decision is made, the prefrontal cortex keeps working. It keeps comparing, keeps scanning for missed details. Brain imaging studies show increased activity in the anterior cingulate cortex, the area associated with error detection and conflict. Their brain is literally shouting, "You could have done better." The modern world is not designed for maximizers. The internet gives us endless choice. Want to buy headphones? Here are 3,000 options on Amazon. Looking for a partner? Millions of profiles in dating apps. Choosing a career? Hundreds of fields and thousands of possible paths. Our brain did not evolve for this. In hunter-gatherer tribes, you had 3 to 5 options in most situations. Your prefrontal cortex was built for exactly that. And now you make more decisions in a single day than your ancestors made in an entire month, and your brain gets exhausted. By evening, your prefrontal cortex is so depleted that you order the same pizza for the 10th time in a row, not because it is the best pizza, but because you simply do not have the energy left for another decision. But there is a way to outsmart this system. All you need to do is limit your choices. When you consciously narrow your options, you give your brain a gift. You reduce cognitive load. You reduce the number of counterfactual scenarios that will haunt you later. Steve Jobs always wore the same black turtleneck. Mark Zuckerberg wears a gray t-shirt. Ever wondered why? It was a strategy to preserve cognitive resources for important decisions. While some people spend mental energy choosing what to wear, they spend that energy solving real problems. Psychologist Sheena Iyengar, the same researcher behind the jam experiment, recommends limiting yourself to just 3 options in any category. Why 3? Because 3 options are the maximum your prefrontal cortex can hold in working memory without overload. You can actually compare 3 choices. Your brain can handle that. And to stop your brain from torturing you with what-if thoughts, you can redirect it. Instead of thinking, what if the other option was better? Ask yourself, would it really be better if I had not made a choice at all? This activates a different neural pathway, one associated with gratitude rather than regret. Our ancestors lived in a world of scarcity. We live in a world of abundance, and the same brain mechanism that once helped us survive now makes us unhappy. Subscribe to the channel if you are interested in psychology, and while I'm working on the next video, you can check out these ones.